into Jurita.
Hi, good morning, good morning, good morning, Sharon. I'm still on my phone. Good morning to you, all you wonderful persons out there that's joining us this morning. It's Friday, the 4th
You
of
can take it.
February, and we are here once again for FYI, for your information. A lot of things happening right now, a lot of misinformation peddling, so I think it's very necessary that we come to you this morning to clarify, to actually
Yes,
correct the
yes,
misinformation
yes.
and give you the correct information. As you know, Cheryl often say that we do our homework, so we know what we're talking about, and we do not play when it comes to the data. Cheryl,
A very good morning to each and every one of you, and we hope that you had a good evening. The night is far spent, and we can only look forward to the day ahead of us. But we trust you guys have had a restful evening. Perhaps some folks are now coming home from work. The whole, some
yes,
folks are on the night
yes,
shift.
yes.
And we know folks are picking us up from around the world. So maybe you're now going home from work, you're now heading to work. Some people might be in a vehicle watching us. One of our colleagues says she was
Yeah, she was
driving
driving
yesterday.
traffic when she joined us. Probably she's doing the same this morning. So to all the persons that's actually in traffic that's looking at us, just make sure that you observe all the safety precautions when using your phone, that your phone is safely mounted in that vehicle, that you don't have it in your hands.
Yeah, yeah. Because not only is it a danger to you, but it's against the law.
Yeah.
You cannot have any handheld devices. You cannot have any, and that speaks for itself. You can be holding anything in your hand, as your cell phone or otherwise, when driving. So make sure it is mounted. We don't mind you guys watching us, listening to us in the car,
Yeah.
but ensure that whichever device you're joining us from, that it's mountain. Good to see each and every one of you guys. What kind of week have you had? It is Friday. Believe it or not, it is Friday already.
Well, we have today is actually the last day of the debates in Parliament. I know we're going to be a little more rested to deal with the show moving forward. But Sharon, let me tell you, when we get online this morning, I see we got online in 5 minutes short, and I think we need to not do our viewers that because I'm reading the messages right now, and I see good morning, Hilbert Knights. Hilbert Knights is saying, no show this morning. I need company.
We're
so,
happy. We are
so
happy to be company for you guys. Let us know you're receiving the audio well. We hope you're receiving the visuals well. And we're happy to be here for you guys. We're happy to be company. We say that there's a chair always pulled up here for you guys, and will always be pulled up here. And you guys are welcome around our table, and we're happy that you've invited us into your families. We're going to touch on a couple of issues this morning, but it is Friday. I mean, January went by so fast. We are now 4 days already into February. Valentine is on the horizon. There is
oh,
that,
you reminded me of
So
this.
there's all of that. 4 days already into February. We're so glad, really glad to have you guys here with us. Good to see each and every one of you, and guys, that we hope that you share the live stream wherever you guys are picking this up from. I'm looking at myself in the monitor and my head shining. Then share the live stream. We want to see that you guys smash that emoji button as well. We want to see what are the emotions out there on social media. So share that live stream for us. And again, welcome to FYI for your information. FYI. Drill.
I want us to, before we get into the actual curriculum misinformation, like I said, a lot of misinformation peddling out there, but before we even get to that, I want us to actually touch on some of the more softer things, some of the things that we as a people as Guyanese, we celebrate together, the accomplishments of young people, how well it resonates with everybody, regardless of which part of Guyana you're from.
Yep.
Everyone likes to see
Yep.
young people going out there and just doing great, excelling. And I want to draw some attention to the UG valedictorian, Devendra Kisoon, 27 years old. And according to Devendra, he's from a single parent family and he experienced severe financial hardship to get to where he is right now. And as Guyanese, we understand where he's coming from because we all have these challenges. And I keep saying that we live in a country where the vast majority of the citizens have severe financial challenges.
Correct.
So we understand this young man's plight and all that he had to go through to actually accomplish. And he is a valedictorian with a 4.0 GPA. And Sherry, you and I both know how difficult that would be to attain. A 4.0 GPA simply means that the Vendra Kisoon got an A in every single course. He got an A in everything. His grade never dropped. He never got a single B. He is a
Fantastic,
straight A
fantastic.
student. So congratulations to Devendra Kisoon. I know he's from Luziknan. I know that community will be extremely proud. All of Guyana is extremely proud of you and your accomplishment. We here at FYI, we wish you all the best in your future endeavors, and we encourage you to press forward. And Sherrod, a lot of these stories have been popping up online. I saw Miss Beverly Barrow, and she had a very touching story. Also, at one point, she posted that she was selling food on the road and all of that, but these persons they persevere and they push forward. So, to the persons out there that's struggling, a lot of persons would love to be at the University of Guyana, and they don't have the means of getting there, and a lot of persons are at the University of Guyana, but they are experiencing so many difficulties, especially financial
Yeah,
challenges. I
yeah,
remember
yep.
going to UG, and you get in the bus and you're going up, and the bus is $80.
The good old days.
It's $80 per passenger in the bus, and we're going. And then one time the buses say that they're going to increase the fare to $100. Some of them was wanted to do $80, while others doing 100. And shared, I could remember for the students in the bus would literally be making change and make sure you got $80 to give to the bus because you don't have $20
Yeah, yeah,
extra
yeah, yeah,
to
yeah.
to to, to
Twenty
waste.
dollars more, $20 more was a lot, you know, $20 more. And folks, if believe it or not, Jurita and I were on opposing student parties
Oh
at
yeah,
UG. We were at opposing student parties. We had a party called Revolutionaries
that's Sharon,
on
not we.
campus.
That is Sharon Duncan's party, the
That was it. That was one of
Revolutionaries.
the best parties we ever had on the campus. And then there was Jurita them. They had their own party contesting for student
I'll have a
government.
lot to say about this. Tell me when you're not.
So we had one of the stronger outfits and we persevered at the polls ultimately.
I think that was a little bit of misinformation when it comes to the strongest party ever. What happened is that both myself, Sharon, and our colleague Ganesh Michael, we were all at the University of Guyana at the same time. And what happened is we all three of us were on different parts. We had
Yes,
our own
yeah.
parties. Ganesh was student movement.
Student factor, if
Student
I remember
Factor.
correctly.
Student Factor was the name of Ganesh Maibal's party, and then you had Sher Duncan with the Revolutionaries,
The
and
best, the best.
then we had the United Students Alliance. You see,
Mm-hmm.
Alliance. This name
Mm-hmm.
resonated with me so much that I stuck with it
Mm-hmm.
throughout my political life. We had the United Students Alliance, and persons out there. Let me tell you, we fought hard to make a mark on campus with our different policies and so. And each of those parties won the election one year after the other. One year it was the Revolutionaries winning, the next year it was the Student Factor winning, the next year it was the United Students Alliance winning, and the margin was always so slim. I
Yeah,
think when
yeah,
at one point one
yeah,
party won by 11 votes, the next time
yeah,
another party won by 4
yeah.
votes because we took a vigorous fight at it. So we've been in politics and all of those things for quite some time, but all to the benefit of the students, and I believe that we look forward to seeing more vigorous camp. I think the media was highly
Yeah.
invested in that
But
season.
but one of the things I want to say that lots of people um, have negative views of UG and lots of people have positive views. But I want to say to you guys that we've been saying, as we've been saying since the year has started, you know, even if you do nothing with your time and your life, your time is going to pass
Yeah.
just the same. So why not do something? And if you've been considering furthering your education, I think UG is a good place. That is my own experience of it. You're not going to get everything you want. You're not going to get at any place everything you want. But I think UG is a good place if you want to further your education, if you're looking for higher education. I've had the privilege to have done all my higher education at University of there, and I've always seemed to be going back there. And so UG in my blood, it's in my blood to say the least, I started doing industrial relations and management at UG. I went on to
Yes.
do communication, red law, and still in the master's program, hustling to get out. But that being said, it's a good place. But one of the stories I'm picking up on is a young lady called, named rather, Crystal Barkley. Now, Dr. Crystal Barkley, I saw her story circulating on Facebook during the course of yesterday. And like Jude, I want to say respect and manners to the valedictorian and also Dr. Crystal Barkley. And her story is equally moving, talking about all of the challenges she would have faced wanting to do a scholarship to Cuba or someplace like that, initially being turned down twice, deciding to go to university and even having a struggle to get into the medical program, always wanted to be a medical doctor and credits her parents for never dissuading her, even though she would have faced a lot of challenges, even to get into the medical program. And I thought it was such a moving story of perseverance of perseverance. And I think too often people tend to give up too easy. There was tremendous
You
obstacles
have to
in my
stick.
own
You
path,
have to
greatest path.
stick to it.
Perseverance,
Stick to
perseverance.
it.
And so I want to say respect and manners to Dr. Crystal Barkley and the Valiant and all the other students, all the other, because all of these stories will have
Uniqueness.
this commonality. You have the pressures you face with student life and trying to get good grades and all of that. But you have to persevere through all of that, guys. You want to persevere. We got to persevere.
Well, we all have to, and Sharon, I know that sometimes it's very important for us to share our own stories with persons, and like this young man, you had your harps, like you rightly said, I had my difficulties, but at the end of the day, we need to be strong not only for ourselves but to each other as well. And I dare say, we need to check on our friends, check on our relatives that actually in the university, and see whatever little that we can do to assist, even if it's some comforting words, like to just persevere, keep pushing. Those little words means a lot to you
Yep,
at times,
yep,
especially
yep.
when you have to be all night studying just to get through those courses and so forth. So we have a lot to be grateful for as a nation, for these young people who step forward and they persevere with regardless of what the challenges are.
Yep. So respect and manners to all those folks. You all come through. You all come through, and you all deserve the highest of accolades. And congrats to all those persons again who would have been graduating from the University of Ghana. That being said, there are a couple of other things on the agenda for this morning. For instance, we're following up on that Mahaika Bridge
Yeah.
accident. That Mahaika Bridge accident, and we saw the family just yesterday saying that those persons, the police in particular, is responsible for the death of these young people because the police really and truly did not act appropriately and they're asking for a thorough investigation. I picked up one of the morning papers that even suggested that the police force itself is now saying that the persons who are involved, the police that is, in that high speed chase, should have acted more responsibly. And we'd love to hear some of your thoughts too.
Well, not only that, I'm picking up on through one of the online medias that the Mahaika accident. You see, the Region 6 Road Safety Council says the traffic rank should have acted professionally. I know we've been speaking about that. We had former Minister of Home Affairs, we had on cameras Ramjatan speaking about it. And he said there are SOPs, these operating procedures that should be followed. And if they were followed, then we should not have been where we are today with two young lives being lost.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah,
that's what all of these persons are saying. Like we said, we're going to continue to follow this story very, very closely because we cannot afford
yeah.
for young people to be out there and your lives being snatched away when it should have been avoided.
Yeah.
Not could have, should have
Yeah.
been avoided.
But you know what? On the whole, I think we got to be more responsible on the roads
Yeah.
as road users, whether pedestrians, cyclists, motorists, and all of that. It's only in this country we don't give way to the pedestrians and the pedal cyclists and so forth, right? They're really and truly, if you study mobility in cities, you would see the pedestrian is at the top of the apex, and the pedestrian is at the apex, and then
Right.
you have the cyclists, the motorcyclists, and then you have cars and vans and trucks and so forth. But we believe because we're driving, we have the right of way. We have the right, and we have to change that. We got to be considerate. You know what is the hard thing? We saw some of it coming into the studio. Um, School children
Waiting to cross the road.
waiting to cross the
Yep.
road, trying to navigate traffic, and nobody is stopping. Nobody is slowing down. We can't be that much of in a hurry, not to slow down, allow children to pass, to allow children to cross the road and to ensure that they cross the road safely. You know?
It's a bad culture. Let's be quite honest. It's a horrible culture that we have. We can't continue this culture that we believe that the person behind the wheels that well they are of a different class in society, so they should be treated differently. Persons don't, especially those children on the roadway, if they are not given the highest priority, I dare say that then we're not going anywhere. What does it say about you as a driver if you can't just slow down, stop a little while for a child to cross the road that is going to school? What does it say of you? The majority of persons out there, 98, 99% of them would have
Correct,
children
correct,
in the
correct.
schools themselves, in the school system themselves. No, you do not put that attitude, you do not embed that type of principle into your children that they're going to grow up to continue down this pathway. It's a very terrible thing, and we encourage persons to be very careful. I think the care, consideration, all of these things need to be very much intact as we go out onto the roadways. We are responsible for not only ourselves but for other persons as well. We have a responsibility to safeguard persons that are using the road. When we are on the road driving ourselves, we can't just go out there and do whatever, you know?
Yeah, and I just want to be specific with a comment I made concerning the whole road accident. It is the Region 6 Road Safety Council
Yeah.
who said that the traffic ranks should have acted more professionally. The Region 6 Road Safety Council. And again, spot on, spot on. And we've discussed this here if you've been following this program during the course of the mornings, that even when you're involved in such activities as high speed chase, the law dictates that you have a greater duty of care for other persons using the roadways. And again, I think the largest takeaway is that we all can be a little bit more responsible on the road and more thoughtful of other road users, be more thoughtful of other road users.
Well, that's absolutely correct. But as this story, if more information come out about this particular case, we are going to be following up. We're going to be bringing you the information. Again, we're not going to pronounce on anything without having credible information. We're looking at the investigation and we're going to see how it goes. But then the investigation, the reports that are coming out is not just from the police, but from other bodies as well. We've been quoting from the Region 6 Road
Yeah.
Safety Council. These bodies are extremely important, and as they speak out about these matters, we are going to be bringing them to you.
Yeah. And that being said, guys, we're so happy that you've tuned in here. You see, hundreds of you, we've lost our monitor here. Hundreds of you are with us. Why don't you take the opportunity to share the program on social media? Circulate it so that other persons might benefit as well. And we love to see your reactions. So give us those emojis, smash that emoji button, as we usually say, and share the program. Hundreds of you have joined our morning program, and we're so grateful that you pulled up a cup of tea, a cup of coffee. Some people, I was walking through the door this morning. I have some plantains getting a little yellow on the counter. Maybe you're having some fried plantains. Maybe you're having some whatever, however you guys do breakfast. And we'd love to know that too. We'd love to know what you're having for breakfast and how you do breakfast. And we're so
Some
privileged to
people
have
would
you.
not be happy with you and this plantain because a lot of persons can't really afford to have plantains when
Well, it's
you're
about it's
having it
about it's
yellow.
about
That's
three pounds
not.
of plantain we've been stretching out for the last week. So got about 20 county we watching getting yellow, and I was thinking I'm leaving so early. I'd really have loved to stay and fry them out, but that's just the nature of the business. However, you do breakfast, we're happy to be sharing breakfast with you guys, as we said. Like and share the program. And Rita, yesterday there was a press conference on the sidelines of the sitting of the National Assembly,
Oh,
and
you're getting into the misinformation.
budget debates are happening there. What's happening there?
Well, Sherrod is just going straight into the aspect of misinformation that we said we would have been clarifying later on in the program. And there were several statements that were made. I think you even started last evening in the ring to dissect some of what was said, but a lot of statements, a lot of allegations were levied against person during the course of that press conference, and a lot have been clarified thus far, if I dare say. But some of the things, let me pull up my notes, Cheryl. I'm getting like you. I like to pull up my notes.
You gotta be ready with the notes.
Right? It's been reported that Guyana could slip further on the corruption index as the AP and UAFC lapses are exposed. That was one of the things that Jagyu said in his press conference yesterday, and it made me remember Ejil actually standing in the National Assembly and saying that that little child, a little boy that was walking from Great Diamond to
But
Little Diamond.
I don't want to presume everybody know who Edgelis or Jagyo is. This is
International.
the installed vice president of Guyana, and then you have the minister of public works installed. We say they're
Yes.
installed. We don't believe that they have been elected by the right way and all of that. But that being said, to give you a greater context to what
Correct.
Edgil means.
Yes. So he stood in the National Assembly yesterday as we were going through the budget debates, and he made a reference because Sherrod Duncan spoke before him. So in his rebuttal, his attempt to rebuttal, Sherrod spoke about the little boy having to walk from Great Diamond to Little Diamond, bare feet, looking for food. He's looking for something to eat. And this is a 2022 budget debate that we're speaking about. And Edgel stood up in his defense, and his rebuttal to that was that it was the AP and UAFC fault that that little child have to walk. Today, three budgets in, the PPP, this is their third budget since they assumed office, but he believes that it is prudent for him to say that it was the AP and UAFC's fault that that little child is left to walk there today. So these things
And
are
all three budgets were the biggest, at that time, the biggest budgets ever. That's the
But
point we're
then,
making.
yeah, but and I said, and I think Amanda even reiterated this whole concept of the biggest budget ever. I said it on one of your show, and I just let it like slide by. That every budget should be bigger than the last. It's only this budget share that is utilizing our oil revenues. Without the oil revenues, it would have been smaller than their actual total spendings, well, not total spendings, all that they came to the National Assembly for in 2021. So it's only the people who have those special skills that they can actually downsize on
Yeah.
those numbers.
Yeah.
But every budget should be the biggest budget ever because every budget is supposed to be increasing as the years go by as a country move forward. However, it is most ridiculous. I don't think there's no bigger level of misinformation that you can give when you're trying to say that the corruption perception index is actually giving Guyana two rankings worse off because the AP and UAFC's records are being exposed.
Almost 2 years ago. Almost 2 years ago.
As he said, right? And mind you, these exposures that he's referring to, any of them are yet to be proven.
Yeah.
Any of them.
Yeah. But I think part of it too is listening and reading what the independent commentators are saying. And I think this press conference hurriedly put together yesterday is in response to all of that. They've had such negativity with this budget because I kept hearing Mr. Jagdio saying about the commentators have to look at certain issues in context and all of that. And Sabbath News, to their credit, had a very stinging editorial on this whole issue of the international corruption perception index, where they are saying that this is now you've had a full year of the PP administration and put that squarely at their feet.
Yeah.
They're now looking back 18 months, 20 months back and say, oh, it's not us, it's those other guys.
But however, person, the irony that is brought out is that the same people would stand in National Assembly and anything good that has happened, they're going to be, oh, because since we came into office, we've been doing this, and since we came into office, we've been doing that. But their inability to acknowledge that they have not done anything to end extreme poverty, as in the case of that little child, is something that they do not want to accept. So they're going to say, "Oh, it's the AP and UAFC." But oh, the series, the PAB series is running out fast. That's credit to us, and all of these things. But when it comes to the real issue, the bread and butter issue, they're refusing to acknowledge that it is their poor management, mismanagement of the economy that is creating that environment so that those things are not only predominant in the coastland Sharon, but they're very dominant also in the hinterland communities. Persons are really suffering under this administration because, as another thing that was said at the press conference, is that they don't like to spend on these recurring expenses.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
salaries, the wages, and the salaries, and those recurring expenses don't really excite them. They don't get excited when for public servant salaries are increased and things like that. They don't get excited at all when
Yeah.
minimum wage goes up by a
Yeah.
significant number. Those things don't excite them because those are recurring expense. They just push it one side as though it means absolutely nothing to that administration.
And one of the things we've been underscoring here on these programs that we do is to get the right information. And you have to read widely if you're interested in current affairs and politics and these kinds of issues. You have to make sure that you are reading widely, because when you hear something like that, you say, "Oh, it's this fella. It might be true," but then you don't hear the other side. You don't read the independent and the more balanced newspapers and so forth. So we've been saying here since the year started, pace and power. We want you guys to be really and truly broaden your thinking. Read widely on these very, very issues and take nothing, even that we see. You can challenge us. Challenge what we see in the comment section. We go back, we take a look at it, challenge what we see as well. One of the other things coming out of this press conference yesterday is I almost said the leader of the opposition, Mr. Jagdio, but Mr. Jagdio said
Soon,
that
soon.
Ali will be the who we call the installed president, Irfan Ali, would be willing to meet with the leader of the opposition and leader of the PNCR, Mr. Aubrey Norton, when Aubrey Norton becomes leader of the opposition.
The first thing I want to say about that is that it is very ironic that the vice president is pronouncing on what the president will be willing to
Yep.
do.
Yep.
This pronouncement is not coming from Irfan Ali. This pronouncement is coming
He's
from
he's the
Barajak,
spokesman. He's the spokesman.
from Bharat Jagdeo. So that alone
Yeah.
sends a message. I'm thinking like, what will this meeting be like? Is this going to be an agenda set by the vice president, a list of things that they should and should not, that if not should
Is it a
and should
photo
not
op?
say?
Is it a photo op meeting? What are they meeting for?
But
Constitutionally,
yes,
they have to meet in a number of areas. This is the leader of the opposition, and whoever is head of state has to meet on a range of issues. But to suggest, and one of the things I find strange, that if you look at the governance hierarchy, the position held by the vice president is superior. It is inferior to that of the prime minister, because the prime
not
minister
in this
is the
country.
first vice president. I'm just saying how it is structured according to law. But the prime minister don't hold any press conferences. He makes no policy statements
Prime
and all of
Minister is
that.
not.
It's quite strange.
Prime Minister is not
It's quite
allowed
strange.
to hold a press conference. The Prime Minister is
Quite
not
strange.
allowed to do that. The Prime Minister, the people have this way in which they do things, especially with the Prime Minister's role, and the Prime Minister basically is just there as a figure. He represents this perceived balance that they want to put out there to
Well,
the
they
public.
they gotta know what they're doing with back Phillips. I'm
But
just
back to
saying
that
it's an
meeting,
absurdity.
back to that statement, that pronouncement that was made that Irfan Ali will be willing to meet with Mr. Norton. Miss Norton is no joke. Miss Norton is not going there to sit down and play. Miss Norton has been on the ground. He's been talking to the people. His focus is to represent the people, right? So this is not no photo of Mr. Norton. I haven't I can't pronounce on anything for Mr. Norton, but I know anything that Mr. Norton is engaged in would be to represent the people, the ordinary
As he
Ghanaians,
should.
those recurring
As he should.
expenses.
Anybody got time with photo ops? Anybody got time with photo ops?
Exactly. So we're yet to see how that manifests itself. However, I dare say that I see this as the Vice President Jagio. I see this as him trying to find a little way. There's this little break right now with Mr. Harman's resignation as leader of the opposition. So there's just a little break now for him to get back his footing with the international community because, like you just said, they are constitutional requirements that the president and the leader of the opposition must meet on, and they have not been meeting. So in order, I think that he's using this opportunity with this little gap to slide in to try to save face with the international community and actually say, well, oh yeah, we weren't just willing, we were not willing to meet with the previous person, but we were willing to meet with the next person. So we're going
Yeah.
to look and see
I
how
think
this
some of it
manifests
too. I think
itself.
some of it too is trying to distract from this budget here, trying to distract because I think
That's
if
impossible.
they're reading social media well, nobody likes this budget. Nobody likes this budget. Even supporters of the ruling party, they don't like this budget. Why? Because it isn't people centered. There is nothing in this for the people. You read the letter columns on a daily basis, you can see they talk. Just this morning, the letter columns, littered with people saying this is a budget for the big boys, that kind of thing. Nothing is in this for poor people. Right?
There's nothing there to end poverty. There's nothing in there to address poverty, the poverty situation altogether. They put these nice terminology in place like semi transformatory budget, and for who? For who? Who is whose lives are going to be transformed after this budget has been fully implemented? Throughout the course of 2022, who is going to be living better off? And that's the question we've been asking. And they repeatedly, minister after minister, stand in the National Assembly and try to convince us that when they give the resources to the big boys, then eventually we're going to benefit from it. One of the things I want to say also about what Edgel stood up in the Bishop Edgel, Bishop, he's a bishop, stood up in the National Assembly yesterday and said, if persons would recall, for persons who don't know this, whilst the APN UAFC was in office, David Patterson was at the Ministry of Public Infrastructure. Now they call the Ministry of Public Works. David Patterson was going throughout the length and breadth of this country, and he was doing a lot of projects that included infrastructure, road work, and bridges and so forth. The APN UAFC administration had a very balanced system in place where they were not just heavily invested in the capital project, but they balanced the capital project with what Dahlia said. I'm going to keep using this terminology, recurring expenses. We had a very balanced system that in which public servants, even without all resources, public servants knew that when the budget is reading, everybody is glued to their television screens. Everybody's reading the newspaper next morning because everybody knows that there would have been an announcement that public servants, this is what's coming for you.
Yeah.
This is the
Yeah.
goodies for you. During that period, the PPP took it upon themselves to go into communities that were getting roads and so that the people were getting salary increases. And they told the people, you can't eat road.
Interesting.
Very interesting. But yet
Interesting.
yesterday, and I said this before, Sharon, I said this budget is going to have the PVP on a campaign through this country, convincing people and teaching them how to eat road. Yesterday in the National Assembly, Bishop Edges stood up and said that weird say you can't eat road. We were reminding persons what they were saying. We weren't saying that. We were reminding persons of their campaign mottos when they were heading up to the 2020 election, and that's what they said. But yet he stood up and said, "You may not be able to eat roads, but the roads project is going to be able to create a pathway to feed you."
Interesting. Interesting.
The same people,
Interesting.
they do these
Interesting.
things. I
Yeah.
know Amanda have a legal terminology that she used. I can't recall.
Interesting. And coming out of this, some of the PR work that they've been doing to try to push back against the negativity of this budget is to try to distract. And for instance, one of the things we saw done recently, interestingly, folks, interestingly, is to say that the former Minister of Natural Resources, that his wife was part of signing up, was a signatory to one of the oil contracts. Now, before we show you some of the graphic on that, um, when the government installed, albeit as we say, were campaigning, they would have talked about how they are going to renegotiate the ExxonMobil oil contract when they come in. Now, the sitting government of the day, they have gone in a different direction by saying they are not going to go this way in terms of renegotiating that contract. But again, now trying to distract from their own policies by saying, hey, look, the former minister, Raphael Trotman, who is the chairman of the Alliance for Change, his wife was part and parcel of signing off on these oil deals. Well, Mr. Trotman responded recently, and this is part of what he said. We want to read it for you here. The guys are going to put it up for us. You get a chance to see what he said on social media. Pull up full screen for us so the guys can see. We tell you,
Dispel the
we do our
misinformation.
homework here, guys. We do our homework. Give us an indication if it's up. We do our homework here, and this is part of what Mr. Trotman responded on social media by putting out a document there to show that his wife wasn't any part of signing on any signatory to this contract, this document here that was suggested in the media. But instead, he said that the Guyana Exxon and Hess, this PSA, is a document of public record. This is Mr. Trotman's words. Is a matter of public record. The signatures and witnesses speak for themselves. Teresa Trotman, right, who is his wife, was never a witness at its important signing. The truth always stands out. This is Mr. Trotman's word on social media. Again, he says the Guyana Exxon Hess PSA is a document of public record. The signatures and witnesses speak for themselves. Teresa Trotman was never a witness at its important signing. The truth always stands
But
out.
that I want before you take that down, Sherry. You know what you something that I must point out is that Trotman not only put Teresa Trotman, he put me game right because that's her surname before. So he's just putting that out there very clearly. So you're not going to say, oh, probably before she got the name Trotman, she signed it under another name. He's saying that's her, she's Teresa Trotman now, and before they got married, she was Teresa Game, and he's putting the document out, and he's saying, you check that document, and you check anywhere for Teresa Trotman, or you check anywhere for Teresa Game, and it will not be anywhere there. So these are the kind of misinformation that is put out there. That was one of the misinformation that was put out yesterday
Yeah,
at that
yeah,
press conference, and I'm happy that Mr. Trotman was so swift in his response. Again, thanks to social media. This is the information age. Persons
yeah,
are not
yeah,
persons are definitely not um, needy
yeah.
when it comes to having to wait 2 3 days to see if a newspaper finds something and publish it. It's like the click
Yeah.
of your finger, you're good to go.
And that is why, as the guys come back to us, that's why we say, and we invite you guys to share the program, share, take a second and share so that other people get credible information as well. We do our homework here. We say that to you guys all the time. We do our homework here. And governments will do what governments will do, whether they're installed or otherwise. Try to distract from the negativity with some policy they're trying to implement. In this case, it's a very poorly constructed budget. Nothing in it, from our standpoint, for the poor people of this country, for the needy people of this country, and especially when you put it against the backdrop that it's the first budget that's utilizing our
Well,
oil resources. And so it was good to see Mr. Troutman out and in fighting form, putting the information out there. You see, if you don't have accurate information, you will make bad decisions. And it's not only in politics, in your whole life, if you are going from a place of inadequate information, bad information, or lack of information on the whole, you're not going to make some decisions at all. You're not.
well, and Sharon, I think Sharon Duncan, and I always have to keep reminding persons, Sharon play a very crucial role right now in society when it comes to actually clearing up misinformation
You're
and
too
bringing
kind, Judy. You're
and,
too kind.
and the, bringing the very accurate information to persons. Because let's look at it very frankly. Had you not been here, you were on the program last night. You started clearing those misinformation up since last night, and then you're back here this morning. You'll be back on this midday, and you're dissecting what was said. Had you not been doing that, then you would have had all of these misinformation being pushed out there into the public as credible information. And we had a lot of years prior to 2015. when those things were happening with nobody to actually fight and combat and to say, well, this is not so. I always remind persons it was on the coalition, that period from 2015 to 2020, that everyone found their voice and everyone was out there and they're scrutinizing things and they're critiquing to the best of their ability, some constructive, some not so constructive. But hey, persons critique, that's their freedom in the country that we live in. That's the environment that was created. But when it was 2020, August of 2020, I said from the very beginning that that was going to be a fight the PP was going to have. They were going to fight to try to break down that guardrail because that is the most powerful guardrail when it comes to democracy. For instance, speak about guardrails of democracy, but when it comes to freedom of expression and access to information, now those are the guardrails that we need to keep in
Correct.
check.
Correct.
And
Correct.
persons out there have been fighting. People are not giving up. And we're here in 2022 and we have sources like Sherrod Duncan and so many other persons that go out there and they make sure that they do not allow misinformation to get into your head without people coming and saying, well, that's not what it was. This is the evidence of otherwise. Noted, we did not come this morning and say, well, that was said yesterday in the press conference about Mr. Trotman's wife being a signatory on that document. We didn't come and say that. No evidence was provided
Yes.
yesterday in the
Correct.
press conference. It was just said, but we came this morning and we said, this is the document. We presented the evidence that it is not so. And that's the only way you could combat the misinformation that is out there.
But the other thing I think is of equal note that is not left for Jurita alone or myself or the opposition, but it's to all of us to combat misinformation. And that's why we asked you guys to share the live program so that other persons can see. Because, for instance, somebody comes up to you and say, hey, did you know Chapman wife just sign off on that thing too?
Yeah.
Right? You're able to say, no, 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 take a listen here.
We look at the document here.
Look at the document here, and you correct that one time. That's the power of social media. You understand us? To edit, to check people in real time. That's the power of social media. That being said, Juita, that being said, we've been talking about the kinds of contributions that have been made in the National Assembly towards budget. I shouldn't have my hands here, but it feels so comfortable. About the kinds of contributions that are being made and how disappointed we are that we aren't benefiting as an opposition from hearing the full menu, if there are any, of measures that constitute their policy on any particular issue. Because these ministers, all of them we believe are installed, they come and they talk about everything else under the sun besides what they're supposed to be talking about, elucidating on policies that they have put in place, perhaps how well those policies have worked, and perhaps what policies are coming up and that are going to be engaging these funds of the national budget towards their execution. Right? And Charles Ramson is one such person who, this is his third budget presentation as a sitting minister. And maybe I was biased to say that it really lacked substance, all of his presentation. And I would have expected, I have a high expectation. It might be not an unnatural expectation, but
You fighting for words, Sharon.
whatever the case, of a Queen's College student.
Oh my
Right?
gosh.
It might have been an unrealistic expectation. I don't think so of mine because we understand Queen's College student because of the rigorous learning that they undertake. They work their salt, right? They are pedigree. But Charles Ramson disappoints every time to live up to that expectation you have when you listen to his contribution. But don't take our word for it. Don't take our word for it. This is Starbuck News in its editorial just this morning. Right? Look at what Starbuck News wrote about Charles Ramson and his presentation in National Assembly. We do the homework here. We do our homework here. So we can bring you guys the credible information. Let's take a look at what he wrote. This is Starbuck News. This isn't New AFC. You know if Charita said it, or I say
I
it,
did
you might
say
say that we're biased. But this is Starbuck News. Their editorial is titled Culture and the Budget. The header for the editorial is Culture and the Budget. It's today. One looked in vain for any comprehensive contribution from the Minister of Culture, Youth and Sports, Charles Ramsden, during the budget debate on cultural matters. He expounded at length on topics such as the transformative nature of the budget, house slots, and the fact that the PVC would honor every promise made in its manifesto. It might be noted, however, that there was nothing much of substance on the matter of culture in the manifesto. Right? Again, you only need the first couple of words in this really truly to tell you to see the ratings on his contribution in the National Assembly. One looked in vain for any comprehensive contribution from the Minister of Culture, Youth and Sports, Charles Ramsden. This is Starbuck News editorial today, folks. Today.
The only disappointment that I have, the only disappointment that I have is that I did not take a bet on my pronouncement. I told you that Charles Ramsden is going to go to the National Assembly and he's going to say absolutely nothing about his ministry. And I reminded you prior to his presentation that when Charles Ramsden goes to the House, he's going to utilize his full 30 minutes to speak, and he's going to speak on every other ministry except his own. And in the last 5 minutes, rather, he is going to try to bring in something and talk in something about the Ministry of Culture, Youth, and Sports. And I'm sorry I didn't take a bet share because I would have been a couple dollars richer because Charles Ramsden did not disappoint me. Charles Ramsden went there and he delivered exactly what I said he would have gone and delivered. And dare I say, I question whether or not Charles Ramsden went to Queen's College indeed, because I know persons like Ronald Austin Jr. is very proud of those batch, and he's always pointing out, look how many QC persons sitting in the national. I know Ronald's not
Check
very.
that, Ronald.
I know Ronald's not very proud.
Take that, Ronald Austin.
Right
Take
now.
that. That having been said, we're watching program time and we're coming on so much information still to share with you guys. But as we're talking about contributions that were made in the National Assembly, Juita presented over the last couple of days, and Kaicho News did a whole spread yesterday on your presentation.
Yeah, but
So
thanks, Kaicho News.
I would hazard that they saw something substantive there. That's why they did that whole article.
I didn't get
based
an
on what
editorial like
Juita
that.
said.
But I don't want you, Sharon. Don't do this. Don't be unjust to the viewers. Charles Ramsden's presentation. Charles Ramsden presented on he tried to go into economics, and I dare say Charles Ramsden should just stay in his lane and don't pronounce on things that you don't have absolutely no knowledge about. He was trying to say that their government no, he was trying to say that their government does not practice trickle down economics. This is not something that the opposition has been saying. The experts have been coming out and they've been lashing the PPP for those policies that's what a policy are. They're trickle down economic policies. Nevertheless, that's one of the things. And then he went on, and I dare say speak about oil and gas. And I was looking and I saw Vikram over there kind of dogging his head and shaking because everybody know, I don't think Charles wants to be at the Ministry of Culture, Youth and Sports. That's the truth of the matter.
But there's that too. There is that too. And as I said, as we run presentations, we also picked up some comments out of Kaicho News, which we on, and this is from their Peeping Tom column, and they drew particular interest again to the contributions in the National Assembly over the past few days, and they pulled out Dr. Nicolette Henry's presentation for some comments. This is what Peeping Tom Kaicho News column said about Nicolette Henry's presentation. Guys, take a look at this. We told you guys we get the information for you. You not go hunting around the place with. We do the hunting for you. This is what Kaicho News said of Nicholas Henry's presentation. Education is in a mess. And one of the better presentations emanated from the opposition shadow minister of education. This was a solid presentation which exposed serious shortcomings in the management of the education sector. And it is a presentation which should be taken seriously. Again, if you read slow or if you hear slow, Kaicho News says in his Peeping Tom column The header for the column today is the budget debate has so far been disappointing. I think they've been listening to Charles Sampson too. It has so far been disappointing. Education is in a mess, and one of the better presentations emanated from the opposition, Shadow Minister of Education. This was a solid presentation which exposed serious shortcomings in the management of education sector, and it is a presentation which should be taken seriously.
You know,
Culture News today.
let us be fair. You have to give Jackie's jacket, as we say, a best address. And Dr. Nicolette Henry, she just don't have that DR in front of her name for nothing. She is very, very sound in her reasoning. And I think her management when it comes to education and when she was a minister of education, and feel as you may, say as you may, under her stewardship, we received the best ever results in CSEC. And she did so many things that impacted the lives of students. And she knows what she's talking about. And sometimes I think we are, as a people, sometimes we don't recognize our own talent. Generally, Dr. Nicolette Henry is an asset to any
Correct is
organization.
right.
She's an asset to any organization. And she is recognized as such. International organizations recognize her contribution. They don't care about the politics in Guyana, They care that this woman knows what she's saying and she can bring this value to our organization. And she is well respected in international organizations.
Yep, yep. And I think the columnist was absolutely right because, for my part, as I was sitting there listening to Dr. Nicolette Henry in a final presentation in the National Assembly, because she has since stepped down as an MP, I thought, wow.
Yeah.
But the trouble in this country, let me tell you all this: the trouble in this country, and I've been saying this, is you get a paint of APNU AFC
Yeah.
and nobody listening to you. I don't do that to my colleagues on the other side. I can say to my colleagues on the other side, you got some good ideas here, right? Once you get paint with APNU AFC, nobody listening to you any longer, right? Nobody not listening to you any longer, and they won't give you the slightest mileage by saying, "I think this thing here sounds good." We talk about inclusivity.
Yeah.
We talk about one Guyana. We talk about all hands on deck. Because all hands on deck for photo opportunity is one Guyana wins a photo opportunity. It is not deep and meaningful. And if you're going to move this country forward, all the ideas, you understand? That's what the fight is about. A fight of ideas, right? A fight of policies, a fight of those things, not a physical fight. And the best, the strongest must emerge.
But we are yet
Now,
to see
folks
that.
might say that Pip and Tom is at new AFC.
What Pippin Tom has done a number on us over the
Yeah.
years. So
Yep.
there
Yep.
is that all. So that's why we need, and I said, just like I said before, it is absolutely necessary that those are the guardrails of democracy that we need to secure. Because Pippin Tom could come, and he came when we were in office and he said the AFP and UAFC this and that and all of that. But that is the right and that is column and that's media and that's what we have to protect because that is
Correct.
what actually gives us the democracy that we should be so that we want to be proud of, right? So we encourage those things. We encourage those columnists and so to continue doing what they're doing. And Nicolette Henry is due the respect that they are
Respect
giving
and
to
manners,
her.
Nicolette Henry.
She is due the respect that they're
Respect
giving
and
to
manners,
her.
right? I just want to ask our one of the guys behind here, Dave. So show us the back end of the program so we can see some of the guys who are commenting. Show us the back end of our program so we can see and give a shout out to some of our viewers watching us around the world. We love to call your name because folks, you make this program while this. We are just right on program time here. You guys make this program what it is. And so we love giving you guys a shout out. The names rush by so fast. We try to call them
I
as
can't
fast
keep
as we
up.
can.
I think something's
right?
wrong with my
We try to
eyes.
call them as fast as we can. But you guys make the program what it is. We cannot do these programs without you. They exist because we know how much you value good information. And so, again, as the guys get it up for us, we invite you guys to partner with us so that we can continue to build our programs. We want to have more of this happening on your behalf. We are powered by you guys. All of what we do is powered by you folks. So thank you very much. I see Pamela uh, Sancherine is with us. Winston Henry, Lennox Anderson is with us as well. Sheena Hazel, we see you. Kenneth Dennis and Winston Henry, all of you fantastic folks. Is it Surhan Ramsarup? Surhan Ramsarup and Sandra Williams. Good to see each and every one of you. We got the Cash App platform, we got Zelle, we got PayPal, we got MMG. We're available via Western Union, via MoneyGram as well. Guys, if you want to know how you can contribute in this way, WhatsApp us to our WhatsApp number, the same number we use for MMG. It's 627-6963, 627-6963. It's been my privilege being here with you, our privilege being
It
here with you
has
this
been. I'm
morning.
looking at the screen. I'm trying to pick up some names.
Yolanda,
I see
Sharon
Roger
Grant,
Norris. This is my first shout out.
Olivia George is here too, and Keith Downing, Howard Musa. Good to see all you great folks. We trust that you've had a good start of your day. It's important to start your day right, It sets the tone for everything else. Some people listen to instrumental music in the morning.
Yeah.
Some
Some
people
people
are
do
listening to some
gospel.
gospel music, an inspirational speech on YouTube, and all of that. Start your morning right. It sets up your day for other successes and other wins. Start your morning right. Don't let anybody vex you. Don't let anybody vex you at all. And
It
we've
gives
been,
you this mental space also, Sharon, to
yep,
actually deal with any negativity that may come along the way.
yep,
Once you have that positive energy, you're better able to go through the day. And we wish you all the best. I know when we come to you in the morning at 8 a.m., we're all smiles. We correct misinformation, we bring you correct information and all of that. But in so doing, we do it on a lighter note.
yep, yep. And we hope that we've been able, in some part, to be part of your day starting in the right way. Thanks. Thanks for joining us this morning. That's our program. Andrew Cuthbert, Joylyn Cook, good to see you. Anne Marie Roberts, good to see each and every one of you guys. Have a safe day. We're going to see you guys back for the podcast at 12 below the belt. Thanks for joining us, folks. Thanks for joining.